These last few months have been a doozy. I can't keep up with all these new games. This is a good problem to have and has inspired me to make this video recapping my time and experience with all the games as well as the ones that I can't seem to finish. I want to initiate this conversation about some of these games as well as hearing the perspective of others, so make sure you leave comments down below. First, let's start with Pokemon Legends Arceus, which came out at the end of January, which seems to have launched this never-ending release schedule. Legends Arceus does a great job of adding a new spin to the classic Pokemon formula, which is historically a rather static franchise. I love how the game puts a greater emphasis on catching and filling out the Pokédex without ignoring the battling aspects altogether. The game isn't much of a looker, but does have a decent art design. Playing Legends Arceus has me in a lot of ways wishing Game Freak partnered with one of Nintendo's more capable studios to help push out a more polished and realized experience. One of my favorite aspects unique to this Pokemon game is the degree of options when it comes to traversing. Most of the mounts feel great, with my favorite being the Sneasler, I think that's how you say that, which is the one where you can free climb around across most vertical surfaces. This might be a little bit of an exaggeration on my part, but I would probably consider the climbing in this game to be the second best I've ever played behind Breath of the Wild. I'm not saying developers need to start copying and pasting the climbing mechanics from Breath of the Wild into the newest Horizons or Elden Ring, but if they did, I can't say it would not be an improvement. I had plans of beating and posting a review for Legends Arceus with part of my script already written, but then came Sifu. I initially tried to split my time evenly between the two games, but it wasn't long until the fun yet frustrating gameplay loop completely consumed my gaming time. Hopefully I can finish Arceus before Scarlet and Violet come out, but who knows. I posted my review of Sifu rather recently, and I won't go into too much detail since you can just watch my video, but Sifu was a blast with addictive combat that had me wanting to master it with some amazing settings to fight my way through. With Horizons Forbidden West coming out at the end of February, I also wanted to do a mainline playthrough of Zero Dawn. I was only able to put in a few hours before becoming distracted by something else, or a few other something else's. I have yet to finish Zero Dawn and haven't started Forbidden West, which leads me to a few games that I've had my eyes on but I haven't even started. A smaller game I've missed that looks pretty cool is Ollie Ollie. Having a nice simple game to break up these blockbusters is always nice. As far as blockbusters go, I wanted to give Ghostwire Tokyo a try, but at this point I may just wait for it to go on sale or pop up on Game Pass after the exclusivity window is over. I haven't played very many LEGO games over the years, but I did really enjoy the original two Star Wars adaptations, so the Skywalker Saga definitely seems like something I might want to pick up later on. Both GTA 5 and Cyberpunk 2077 have also had some next-gen versions released. I've been able to put a couple hours into GTA 5, which more or less feels like the same thing, but I'm going to probably go back to it later this year to capture some footage for a bigger project that I'm currently working on. I've also spent a bit of time mainlining Ghost of Tsushima for this project as well, which might not have been the best idea as far as timing with all the current games I have to play. I didn't really care for Cyberpunk the first time around, even with the bugs aside, but I did spend $60, and so a part of me does feel the need to give it another try, especially since there are a ton of updates since the last time I touched it, including a proper PS5 and Series version of the game. I messed around and watched my partner messing around in Tunic for a bit. I definitely can see a lot of the reasons why this game has been adored by so many. I've personally never been big into most Zelda games, but I can't help but feel this would be the perfect kind of game to play on Switch before going to bed. Maybe now this is the reason that I need to buy a Steam Deck, to fill this void. Again, not typically my type of game, but I could see myself really enjoying it if I put aside some time to play it. One game always up my alley is Mario Kart. I generally am not very quote-unquote good at most games. I am by no means an S-tier kind of player, but with that said, for whatever reason I tend to be better at Mario Kart than a lot of other games, so I've always liked it because of that reason, as well as just being a blast to play. As I mentioned in my mini video review, these new extra courses all but confirm Mario Kart 9 is not coming out anytime soon, which I guess is fine considering how polished 8 Deluxe is. Have any of you given these new tracks a go, and if so, did you buy it or did you just get it included with your Nintendo Online Expansion Pass? Just curious. Elden Ring seems to be by far the biggest release of this year, with it appearing everywhere I look on the internet. I've never really been interested in Souls games due to their reputation for inducing rage and tears. It just doesn't seem like a fun time to me, but maybe if I ever did give them a try, I'd feel differently. But as far as Elden Ring goes, it really seems to have captivated the general audience, getting 10 out of 10s left and right. With all the praise, I did decide to give the game a try, and I can definitely see why a lot of people are having fun. With that said, I honestly can't help but be confused by all these reviewers giving the game masterpiece status when it clearly has its fair share of issues. I'm actually working on a video right now that goes deeper into what I believe these issues to be and why I think everyone loves the game. I do think Elden Ring does some things really well, as to serve as a nice refreshing breath of air to those who are tired of the formulaic open world genre, but I can't help but think that this game is a bit overrated. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the game down below. Most people tend to either think the game is a masterpiece and the best game ever, or is just terrible because they die a lot. I personally consider it to be a good game, but not a great game. And that's just me. Gran Turismo 7 has found itself in a bit of controversy, and rightfully so. I'm never a fan of microtransactions finding their way into my full-priced console games, but I really haven't been bothered by GT7's implementation. But I do think it's definitely the right call for people to be calling out Sony here. The microtransactions aren't super in your face, but the pace in which that you gain credits does seem to incentivize those who are wanting to catch them all. And is this just me, or does it seem that the random prizes are kind of rigged, not so random? There are usually like 2 good prizes with a couple decent ones and one clearly trash prize, and yet somehow 80% of the time I seem to always end up with the trash one. At first I thought I was just unlucky, but at this point I'm calling sus. Outside of the sketchy cash grabs, I can't help but have a blast with some of the best racing physics I've ever felt in a game to date, which is also enhanced by the DualSense. An amazing racing sim, but is definitely held back by controversial business practices. Polyphony Digital does seem to be trying to appease some fans here with some changes being made, so if you haven't already, make sure you collect your 1 million credits. The last game that I've been playing that I want to discuss is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I can't help but fall in love with the charm of this title. Between Kirby's transformations and the rock-solid gameplay, there's a lot to like here. Far from a hard game, especially to those of you coming off of Elden Ring or Sifu, but nonetheless, Kirby is still a pretty fun game. I may end up posting a review for Kirby and will leave my in-depth thoughts there, but I think if you are at all interested, you won't be disappointed with the prior knowledge going in that this is not an open world title, but rather just a really good game. As you can see, there have been so many good games to play these last few months, with some even claiming 2022 to be the best year in gaming ever, which in theory could be true, especially if games like God of War and Starfield are able to kill it and avoid getting pushed back like Breath of the Wild 2. We are coming out of this crazy storm of new releases that seems to be the aftermath of COVID delays coming out at the same time. The rest of the year doesn't seem nearly as packed, but even with the year that has been so far, there's been a ton of killer games. I'm not sure about the best year ever in gaming when you have years like 2004, 2007, 2011, and recently 2018, but 2022 is already shaping up to be in that company. This may easily be one of the best stretches of releases in gaming history, but what's your thoughts? Is your backlog of games building up like mine? Generally, it's abnormal for me to start so many games and to have finished so few of them. Which of the games mentioned have you been playing, and what other games do you still plan on trying? As always, I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, see ya!